Hey everybody. So someone posted that they wanted to see a discussion about the benefits and drawbacks of Savannah's law that was just implemented in Tennessee, right? And their question was, would Savannah's law discourage convictions in order to avoid the registry? Like I said, there are definitely going to be some opponents, even other advocates that are going to question Savannah's law that was just implemented in Tennessee to pass the first domestic violence offender registry, right? So it's a fair question, but it deserves a serious evidence-based answer. So this is my take on it. No, a domestic violence offenders registry is unlikely to discourage convictions, and in many ways it can strengthen accountability rather than weaken it. So let me just break down what Savannah's law does. Savannah's law actually applies for only to repeat domestic violence offenders, not first-time cases. It's based on court-verified convictions, not allegations or accusations, okay? It requires judicial findings. Judges still control sentencing, protects privacy by excluding home addresses and sensitive data, including the victims that the offender was convicted of harming, okay? It allows removal after a defined period. So if the offenders are put on the registry, they can eventually petition to be removed after a definite period based on conviction history and compliance. So this creates a statewide centralized system so offenders can't disappear across counties throughout Tennessee. This is a tracking and transparency tool, not a sentencing enhancement. So let's just get that correct to begin with. Here's the other thing. Would prosecutors avoid convictions? So already in practice, prosecutors already weigh jail exposure, firearm prohibitions, probation terms, immigration consequences, and employment impacts when they do convictions. Yet convictions still occur because public safety outweighs discomfort, especially for offenders and violent criminals and those who abuse people. Public safety first. Hello. So yet convictions will still occur because, once again, public safety outweighs discomfort. If a case meets the legal standard for conviction, avoiding accountability to spare an offender or their fill-ins from a registry would itself be a failure of justice. And that's precisely what this law is designed to prevent. What the registry actually improves. I'm going to break that down for you guys, okay? Victim safety and informed decision-making. Victims shouldn't have to rely on rumors or gut instinct. This gives them verified information. Judicial awareness of patterns. This gives judges, because domestic violence is a pattern behavior, judges finally can see the full picture, not just isolated incidents of domestic violence. Cross-jurisdictional accountability. Offenders often offend in multiple counties or states. This closes that loophole. Early intervention. Registries are not about punishment alone. They help identify high-risk individuals before violence escalates to homicide. Let me say that one more time. Registries are not about punishment alone. They help identify high-risk individuals before violence escalates to homicide. Public transparency with due process. This balances offender rights with community safety, something our current system routinely fails to do. Okay, so the real drawback we should be discussing here, guys, is the real risk isn't discouraging convictions. The real risk is doing nothing. Continuing to treat repeat domestic violence as situational and only acting after someone is seriously injured or killed. We already track sex offenders, repeat DUI offenders. So it's about damn time we start tracking domestic violence abusers, convicted domestic violence abusers. Not tracking repeat domestic abusers has never protected victims. Not tracking them doesn't protect victims. So let's freaking try this and see how it works out. Okay? Now, granted, the justice system is totally imperfect and will be imperfect. Okay? However, this is a step in the right direction. This law doesn't lower the bar for conviction. It doesn't criminalize allegations. It doesn't criminalize allegations. So to all the critics and the opposers of this, it doesn't criminalize allegation. It doesn't replace judicial discretion as well. What it does stop is pretending repeat domestic violence is unpredictable. Tennessee took the first step. The discussion now isn't whether accountability tools work. It's whether we're willing to implement them before the next tragedy occurs instead of after the fact. So I appreciate the thoughtful question. These are exactly the conversations policy reforms requires. Thank you once again, Tennessee, for doing what other states would not do. And I pray that the other 49 states throughout the country implement the same thing.